So good morning, everyone. We are the WestBank Group, and I'm Sydney Copen. This is Musaf Khalif, Kim An, and Chris Wynn. We are so excited to be here today to share with you some insights that we made over the past 24 hours of hard work. And we are confident that we've come up with a panacea for the issues facing Ferrero right now. This one ingredient, the hazelnut, has been the source of some of Ferrero's most successful products over the past 68 years of operations. However, this nut and what we choose to do with it within our supply chain may determine the trajectory of Ferrero Rocher in the coming years. To become more specific, Ferrero Rocher is so dependent on this nut. We are the largest, you guys are the largest buyer of hazelnuts in the world. For every 4 hazelnuts produced on this entire planet, you guys purchase one of them to produce your products. You guys proudly market this nut, as you can see in images such as these. However, historic volatility within this nut, historic price volatility within this one ingredient is becoming a huge problem at Ferrero. Just 3 years ago, in 2011, prices soared 70%. Now we believe it is clear after our analysis that you guys need to implement a plan very soon in order to ensure the success of the Ferrero brand. Now I'll pass it off to Kim to discuss our recommendation further.
So after immense research, we come up with solutions to this sourcing problem for Ferrero's. So we do recommend Ferrero to acquire its major hazelnut supplier, the Ultra Group. And we believe that this acquisition would give Ferrero a consolidated power toward the supply chain analysis. Moreover, now that Ferrero has more control over its core ingredients for its product, Ferrero is more reactive toward changes in market demand in terms of prices and the product itself. Furthermore, since now we have, due to the higher control, it gives us more freedom for supply chain innovation. So we do come up with 2 alternative options for Ferrero's, which is either the company can carry the extra cost with lower margins, or we can put those extra costs into the customer and raise the price. So now each option would come with its own benefit and cost. So with the lower margin, if the company can be able to keep the same price for the product, the benefit can be maintain a customer loyalty to the brand and keep them staying with the product. But then the company would be harder to predict the impact of cash flow in long run due to the unpredictable fluctuation in material costs. Moreover, since now that the supplier can charge more for the company, they can increase supplier power along the whole supply chain for the company. Now, besides that, if we put those extra costs to the customer and raise the price of the product, then we can be able to maintain the margin of the company. However, then now, due to the higher price, discourage the customer to stay with the brand, and they may switch to other substitutes like jams, honey, or chocolate spreads, or even retailer brands like Target or Walmart. And similar to the other options, it can increase the supplier power along the supply chain because now that the supplier charging more for the company because the customer is paying more. Now moving on to the war chest of the company with Musaf.
So without money, none of this can happen, right? So how do we assess that? How do we assess their money that they have available to allocate to these resources or these projects that we are putting forth? Well, one way is looking at a company's war chest, and there's several ways to look at that. First, if you just look at the cash flow statement, there's nothing too fancy about this, but as of now, in American dollar 2015, the latest that they had out there, it's a private company, so there's not that much data on the company. But as of 2014, or 15, we had 302,253,945. That doesn't say that much, but if you take it to the next slide, let's account for the free cash flows. Now, what's the difference? I don't mean to get too much jargony in the finance major, but the difference necessarily is we got to account for capital expenditure, the resources, the hard assets that we're using to expand our business operations, right? So once we account for that and see other available cash that we have, and also project the growth, we see that in 2016, we had $1 trillion, near $1 trillion free cash flow. Now let's compare this to our competitor, Hershey Company. They had, according to Hoorah, they had 714 million free cash flows. Why am I telling you all this? Well, we have to try to assess our competitors to understand our position, and we're able to buy or allocate our resources to other projects. Next slide. So some key assumptions. We assumed a 2% growth rate relative to our company. On the other hand, Hershey's used a 16.9% growth rate in their assessment. We were trying to be more conservative. Why? Because we took away the pension growth rate for that, because they were paying pension rates to their employees. We didn't know how to assess that in the long term, so how do we compensate for that? We had a much more conservative growth rate, which is aligned typically with academic rates and what they use as best practice.
So provided these monthly war chests, to start up our implementation plan with this acquisition, what we want to first do is form a project team comprised of senior leadership in both organizations. Within this group, we have change management that will facilitate the process all the way through. So before I introduce this process was adapted from GE's acquisition process. Usually it takes about 100 days for every company they acquire. We set it to 200 to offset any challenges in cultural differences between companies. Just to be realistic about how things function in nature. Next slide, please. So the first step here, pre-acquisition. So this is where we understand the differences between the different organizations. You know, what's our weaknesses? What is it that we need to know before we go ahead and combine these two organizations? You know, assess the strengths, weaknesses within the functions, so that when we integrate them, we know what to be sensitive about. And so with that, we'll be able to identify additional individuals to add on to the project team to further the efforts in integrating the organizations in the long run. Next slide, please. So with the project team put in place, we want to implement a 48-hour widespread of this integration. So from top to bottom, everybody will be informed about this merge between the two organizations, and the project team will use a freeze-prong approach adapted by Smuckers to transfer the technologies. So yes, that one migrate HR and accounting SAP platforms and integrate customer-facing systems and SMP programs, as well as after that bringing in the programs online. Next slide, please. Once we have those plans in place, we'll put it into action and follow up with learning and adapting to things as we go. Whatever it is that comes up, we can learn from that and continue. We'll emphasize on the use of balanced scorecards to make sure that the alignment of corporate strategy and multi-level alignment to that corporate strategy throughout two organizations. And then Musabe will now talk about the measurements of success as we look to the future. How will we be able to tell whether or not this is working?
So, we want to make sure that we have the synergy with our company that we're buying. It has to work well with us, right? We have to be working toward a similar goal, one initiative, one vision, right? And we can do that by trying to use similar metrics across our divisions. One interesting metric you can use is looking at residual income. Now, why residual income? Well, first, it counts for average operating assets, which is what the company is, a manufacturing company. But and it also accounts for the money that we spend in that minimum required rate of return. We want to see, are we getting our bang for our buck? Are we getting our money's worth? So that's one example of trying to gauge how well are we utilizing our assets, as well as are we getting our money's worth. Now, previously I talked to you guys about how much money we had in our hand, but we did not know how much we could afford to spend on buying this. Well, one way of gauging this is after we allocate the money to this company, we can look at our WACC and compare it to the minimum required rate of return and see are we beating that, and what is our residual income after that. Next, I'll pass it off.
We'll wrap it up here. Again, with these decisions in play, we hope to sustain these implementations with the metrics mentioned in our presentation, and encourage management to gain the interest of functional leaders and help the implementation of this organization-wide up to down. Thank you. That will open it up to questions.
So you talked early on, you said you recommended acquiring Oltan. What are some of the pros or cons, or what do you consider that led you towards choosing to acquire them versus not?
I mean, so the obvious con is when you acquire backward integrate, you're gonna lose that flexibility that you have, right? You can't move back on that. You're really committing to that. But we feel like it's an effective way of ensuring that we get, first of all, good information, right? When you have this supplier that's not close with you, you don't have good information, good flow of information, such as Walmart with its competitors, then you won't be able to make good decisions with your supply chain. And when there's times of droughts, like right now in the case Turkey, then we suffer for that, right? We suffer when that happens. So we gotta make sure that we're able to take control and have access to our suppliers. One way to do that is backward integration. I'm gonna let my partner add to that.
And to build upon this, nowadays competition is focused on how well a supply chain can respond to change in markets. You know, by reverse integrating, we control the rate at which our products come in from the procurement site with the farmers all the way to the final product. So then if there's a sudden spike in increased demand, we'll be able to address that with our inventory. We'll be able to respond to it much quicker with control of the entire supply chain as opposed to just the production process. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, good question. Anyone else?
Do you have any thoughts as to how Hershey, our biggest competitor, might react? Or any thoughts of what their next move might be?
Well, I mean, the idea of now, what they often say is one supply chain versus another supply chain, right? I mean, they're gonna probably work toward getting their own supply chain and their own networks. The question is, who's gonna do it better? Who's gonna be able to adapt faster to the market? And we're trying to do that first, getting the first move on them, and also trying to work with environmental issues and seeing gauging other things that will affect our hazelnut, our access to hazelnut, and trying to mitigate that risk, trying to address that right now. And so that's how we hope to beat them on that.
And the unique thing about the Hershey's chocolate spread is they released 3 different flavors, and only one of those flavors contained hazelnuts. And from the order of their ingredients, we speculate that it contains less hazelnuts than the one Nutella product.
And furthermore, if we don't do anything and we subject ourselves to all these weather conditions that control our prices, Hershey's is going to have a competitive advantage on, a substitution product. What they're producing at Hershey is a substitution product of a bread spread. If we don't see that opportunity, we might as well hand them over our market share.
The chocolate spread with 3 flavors that Hershey come out to the market accounts for 9% of the market share within the first year. And so their strategy of not using hazelnuts in their product is working pretty well.
Good question.
Did we answer that to your thinking?
What do you think the acquisition of Oltan does to the margins of Ferrero? How does it impact their finances?
I mean, one way you look at that is it cuts the middleman, right? We're cutting away that middleman cost that we have, right? But also, we're hoping that there's other unnecessarily directly quantifiable benefits from this. For example, if we're able to react faster than our competitors because we have such a good control over our supply chain, we might be able to get a greater market share. People might be willing to go to us because we're more efficient than our competitors.
Reliable.
And reliable too. That's one way of going about it.
I would like to expand on that. By acquiring the supplier, we also have control over the way the product is grown and the way it is procured. With Oltan, right now they just rely on farmer techniques, traditional techniques to acquire the products. Acquiring the supplier, we can control that. We can teach them best practices to increase yield and to mitigate seasonal loss due to weather. And so it's more than just finances when it comes to this, I believe.
Yeah.
What about some of the costs acquired, or costs involved with acquiring them?
No, I mean, there's, of course, there's initial, heavy initial cost to acquiring the company. But what our goal is, and that's why we're looking at cost of acquiring, cost of getting capital, excess capital we needed to. We also looked at previous acquisitions that they have done and tried to gauge how they would react to that. Well, one way they can mitigate that is first, they could get external money from other people to diversify that risk. So, of course, that there is that money cost, but you can diversify that risk by issuing equity if you wanted to in a private market. Or if you're really bullish, you can use debt. That's another way of getting that money. So, of course, there are many costs, both monetarily and non-monetarily, but we feel like the benefits outweigh the costs.
Did you determine when the payback will be? When are we gonna see our investment start making return by this acquisition?
So yeah, I mean, so what we assumed, first of all, because we were not given the price of this acquisition in the case directly. So we had no way of gauging what our initial
We
cost.
didn't want to make assumptions about it without any form of data, so.
So we assumed that we got a fair price in the market, right? And so we had to take that assumption when we looked at previous acquisitions.
Any questions about figuring out when?
I think we'll take that. So I'm trying to address first how we would try to look at this. We projected out for 3 years. After 3 years, we were hoping to get our money, or at least start to see influx of flow of cash. Hence, until 2018, we have our cash flow cycle. But we did not take away the initial cost of that because we did not know exactly what it would be. We just could not gauge that solution right. It's private. They don't have to address that to us.
You talked a little bit about change management with the consolidation or the merger. What about change management with the farmers? Have you guys thought at all about how they'd receive this change? Obviously, we're looking at broadening that relationship with them. What do you think the impact might be?
I think a creative shared value approach is pretty good if we support farmers in their operations, have that combined growth. I know that Cargill has launched a nonprofit, I believe, the Mosaic group into investing in farmers to yield more crops, and then in return they get a reliable, return in crops. So I'm sorry, could you guys explain this better? I feel.
Yeah, so the main change that we believe the customers of Olton, so the farmers, the suppliers of Olton will see is within the applications that they may utilize within their transaction. And so by utilizing the SAP ERP system and the software that they provide us, we believe that it'll give us the appropriate programs with ease of usability. And as well, just to mention, SAP is a massive company and they have so many resources for training, and we are going to try to utilize that as much as we can in all levels of the organization.
And just one clarification point. When we talked about consolidating our employees, we're talking about overhead costs. That's more toward corporate things that we share, accounting, right? We have our own accounting for our corporate structure. Why do we need to have their accounting structure? So we weren't thinking about just firing everyone. There is some downsizing that comes with it, and mostly at the corporate level. So that's what we're referring to kind of put that together.
Why did you base your implementation on the company GE? I was just curious of that.
The company, I'm sorry.
GE.
They have a level of expertise from our research. They've done many acquisitions, especially in R&D. I myself am a scientist, and so a lot of their work in information systems and science is just interesting. So we pursued that route, and it seemed pretty feasible. There are several Harvard Business Journals that are about the acquisition process, and it's quite astounding.
Yeah, I mean, so for example, the 9-cell, you heard of the 9-cell strategy? What it looks at synergies between certain companies, right, or certain, right? You can utilize in many ways. We tried to find that synergy, how we're going to work well with this company. And that was one of the things we were trying to figure out. Because just buying the company is not necessarily provide growth. In most cases, you actually end up losing money because you overpay, the synergy is not there. So we tried to look at the synergy between us and this company and how well we can work together, how well our culture we did, how well our way metrics will work with them.
It's that
And they-
cultural, sorry,
And they picked 100 and you picked 200 days for implementation.
just to account for unforeseen circumstances.
I think be more conservative, way better to be conservative. Yeah.
But it's that cultural factor that GE provides that consideration, because there is always a culture shock when you're introducing two different groups. And so, this framework puts that into consideration. It's one of the appealing factors of it.
We got time for one more question.
Professor H gonna ask me questions today.
I've got one. So this is our first time, if we, accept this proposal, make an acquisition, to be working with farmers. Have you thought through any concerns that, might come up with the fact that this isn't really in our wheelhouse, actually farming and making the product? We've been more in a food manufacturing setting versus actually out in the field.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, we're not starting from scratch here. We're buying a company that has expertise in this. So that's one of the benefits of acquiring a company, as opposed to just building your own from scratch. We get to take that knowledge they have, we get to utilize that knowledge and harness it in a way that benefits us. So I feel like it's a benefit and plus in the gains acquisition.
And I do understand what you're saying. A lot of times in acquisitions, both companies lose a lot of productivity. And so part of the reason why we picked this framework is for that foundation building phase. And so in this phase, we're gonna be working a lot on change management within all levels of the organization. So that's from the top executives to those interacting daily with farmers. And so our goal here is for them to understand why this is valuable to them. Just drawing from a quick article that I love from CIO, it's Change is an Affair of the Heart. We're really trying to inform all employees of Olten and Ferrero why this is beneficial to them, their future employment, and the company. And so we're building that buy-in very early on in the change process so that we don't lose as much effectiveness in all of our employees during the change.
Well, if you guys have no more questions, I'd like to end with this. Look at all the most valuable companies in the United States and look at the most efficient supply chains. They tend to align. Apple, most valuable company in the world, has one of the best supply chains. So in a world of now where supply chains are key, you should be focusing on your supply chain. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much for your time coming out on your day to come and judge us.
Thank you for all the great questions too.
Thank you.